Welcome back. The Middle East is on edge tonight with tensions rising on two fronts. First, the U.S.-Iran war. Iranian state media warning the ceasefire could fall apart if Israeli attacks on Hezbollah and Lebanon continue. Iran has reportedly paused indirect talks with D.C., even as President Trump says that he still believes Iran wants a deal. The bigger concern now is that the fighting could spread, putting more pressure on global energy markets, with oil prices surging as the Strait of Hormuz remains closed tonight. And in Gaza, the reported death toll in that war surpassing 72,000. Some believe it's much higher. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has now ordered the Israeli military to increase control of the territory to 70%, a move that goes beyond the ceasefire agreement. That would leave more than 2 million Palestinians packed into an even smaller area, deepening an already severe humanitarian crisis. Human rights advocates warn that the plan could amount to long-term displacement and risks pushing the region even closer to a wider breakdown. Joining us to discuss all of this is NBC military analyst, retired four-star Army General Barry McCaffrey. Good to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Be with you, Joyce.
Let's first talk about the U.S.-Iran war. The ceasefire, is it falling apart completely, in your view?
No, not at all. I think both Trump and the Iranians have a real strong, indeed desperate need to reopen the straits. It's going to choke the Iranian economy, or what's left of it, and it's a disaster for Trump. But Mr. Trump's in a perfect mess. He has a war that he initiated on his own without consulting Congress. There's almost no allied support for it at all, to include the Gulf Coast states. And congressional backing is tenuous at best. So I think going forward, Mr. Trump's clearly vulnerable to Iranian extortion. You know, there's a standard phrase in diplomacy: nothing is agreed to until everything's agreed to. And right now, it appears from what we know in public that there's just no way he's going to dominate the Iranian capacity to produce a nuclear weapon. Probably will get the straits open, and probably there'll be some cessation of the regional wars, to include Hezbollah in Lebanon.
Just connect the dots for us on the Hezbollah issue. What's the biggest danger if Israel keeps hitting Hezbollah in Lebanon?
Well, I think, Hezbollah went after Israel with rockets. They're now using drones. They tend to dominate the southern part of Lebanon. The Israelis think their existence is at stake in this war, and so they've carried out very aggressive actions on the ground. None of this will stop until the Iranians stop supporting what are essentially regional surrogates, not just Hezbollah, but also Hamas, which is now solidly back in control of Gaza, and the Houthis in the south, who are now threatening to close off the Red Sea, which would intensify greatly the global economic crisis we're now seeing.
And then how worried should we be about U.S. troops, about bases, shipping routes, all of that getting hit next?
Well, again, my guess is that this can't go on 30, 60, 90 days. Both sides need a solution. The U.S. has 50,000 some odd military forces in the region. U.S. air and naval power have pulverized most of the conventional Iranian military power. And so at some point, though, the economic stranglehold the Iranians have on the straits is going to compel Trump to come to an agreement. I think right now he's fearful of the political outcome of this whole process.
I want to move to Gaza now, which we haven't talked about in some time. Netanyahu's moving to seize 70% of Gaza. What does that signal to you? Is the ceasefire there over?
Oh, what a tragedy. We got 2 million people, huge casualties, destruction of the infrastructure, nearly total, like 80% or more of the buildings are destroyed or damaged. And Hamas is back in control. So the Palestinians living in Gaza are subject to enormous pressure, not just from the Israelis, but also from their own terrorist organization. And none of their Arab neighbors are helping them. Egypt has a giant fortified wall preventing Palestinians from getting out into the Sinai. and none of the other countries will take Palestinian refugees willingly. So it's an enduring tragedy. I don't see it getting any better. It's just horrific, the conditions that exist in Gaza.
In the most basic sense, what is the objective in your mind? Is it military strategy? Is it about forcing Palestinians out?
Well, I don't think either side has any long-term approach that's going to work. There won't be a two-state solution for 100 years because of the 7 October demented attack on Israel, with hundreds of Israelis murdered, raped, burned to death, etc. I don't see any way out of this. At some point, it would be nice if there could be an international peacekeeping force in Gaza supervising the economic reconstruction of some form of civilized life. But nobody's signing up for that peace proposal and is willing to put troops on the ground to maintain the peace.
Many Americans, not military families, but many Americans may feel this is all very removed from their daily lives. What do you think is the biggest global consequence if these two conflicts just keep escalating?
Well, part of it, to be honest, is the power of the United States. Our economic power is just enormous. Our military power is unparalleled, and 2.1 million men and women in the active guard reserve components. But our real power is based on our allies, not just NATO, not just the South Korean, Japanese, and Australian, but a global sense of respect for what we stand for. And to be blunt, I think a lot of that, the coalition of willing allies, has been dissipated by Mr. Trump's public abuse. And by the way, he's the worst aspect of stepping on his own negotiators with these childish, bellicose threats to the Iranians and others in public, insulting language to the UK and their willingness of their own armed forces, naval elements, to help in the Gulf. So our problem, I think, to some extent, is the commander-in-chief.
General Barry McCaffrey, we always appreciate your perspective. Thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Good to be with you.